Abulafia developed two methods of meditation. The first was the combination of letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Essentially, in this first method, you would separate and combine letters, being aware of the new meanings, themes, connotations arising from such combinations and separations. But never an arbitrary or conscious combination. Always a free-flowing consciousness in a non-judgmental, non-evaluating awareness. Abulafia believed that there was a logic in the very nature of the movement of the letters, remembering that the Hebrew letters were thought to be divine emanations. Today we would say a non-structured logic of the unconscious. Does it begin to sound familiar? Now, the second method, which is a further development of the first, is the permutation or jumping and skipping. That is, jumping and skipping from one concept to another. It is using the association of ideas, free association, as a meditative technique. The jumping brings to light hidden repressions or processes of the mind, or as Abulafia says, it liberates us from the prison of the natural sphere and leads us to the boundaries of the divine sphere. End of quote. These techniques bear a striking resemblance to Freud's techniques in psychoanalysis. In fact, there is considerable evidence that Freud developed psychoanalysis from the seedbed of Jewish mysticism, even though he vehemently put down mysticism. Both of Freud's parents came from Galicia, which was permeated with Hasidism, and Freud even said that his father came from a Hasidic background. And W. Aaron reports a conversation between Bloch and Freud in which they discuss the Kabbalah, Hasidism, and Judaism. And Aaron said, quote, "What it was that moved Freud to interest himself in the Kabbalah and Hasidism is not hard to understand. He must have felt himself spiritually at home in these worlds." End of quote. Freud had the opportunity to be familiar with Abulafia's techniques because the popular Jewish teacher in Vienna at that time was Adolf Jelinek. That's Jellinek, who had published extensively on Abulafia. And then, too, there are interesting similarities between the techniques of interpretation as expressed by the Zohar, that is the Book of Splendor, the main work of Kabbalism, and Freud's interpretation of dreams. Also, the Zohar's treatment of bisexuality could well have been an inspiration for the Oedipus complex. Anyway, what was the Zohar? Z-O-H-A-R. Well, it was a book thought to have had its origins in the 2nd century A.D. Actually, Gershom Scholem, the distinguished authority on Jewish mysticism, has proven that it was probably written by Moses de Leon, 13th century Spain, but probably incorporating many of the earlier oral traditions. On the surface, it appears to be just another commentary on the Torah, quoting and interpreting passages from the Pentateuch. But it is so much more than that, with revolutionary consequences that are still being felt today. It used to be said that before a man studied the Kabbalah, the Zohar, he should be 40, married, and possess a full stomach. And by full stomach they meant full with the knowledge of the Torah and the Talmud. Otherwise, a secret wisdom he might gain could be unsettling or even destructive. All of this from what appears to be rather abstruse commentaries on the Pentateuch. Well, the basic premise of Zohar, like all Jewish mysticism, is the divine power of speech. Again, quoting Gershom Scholem, he said that the Torah was thought to be God's speech. But just as the written word reveals only a part of man's thought, so the Torah revealed only a part of God's thought. The spoken word can reveal more, the idea behind the word still more, the impulse or process which gave rise to the thought reveals even more, and then silence, that silence beyond, is the most revealing. The still mind of the Quakers, the pure consciousness of the Hindus, the void of the Buddhist. Undifferentiated unity before the fragmenting process of thought.